Sri Lanka left with fuel stocks for around 5 days, Minister Kanchana Vijayasekara said. Sri Lanka's fuel stock will last for about 5 more days, its Power and Energy Minister said on Thursday, as the island nation awaits official confirmation from the Indian government for a new US $500 million credit line for fuel. We are struggling to get fuel supplies due to our forex issues, and the government is working to manage existing stocks of diesel and petrol until June 21st, the minister told reporters. We are finding it very difficult to meet demand, and stocks could run out faster if we do not cut back on non-essential travel and stop hoarding fuel. We are expecting a petrol shipment within the next 3 days and another 2 shipments in the next 8 days, he added. Sri Lanka is waiting for official confirmation on a US $500 million credit line from the Indian government's Exim Bank, which Vijayasekara said would be used to fund fuel shipment for the next few weeks. Sri Lanka has reached out to multiple countries, including Russia, to discuss fuel import options that would provide supplies worth several months, Vijayasekara said. The country is also in talks with the International Monetary Fund for a bailout package, and a delegation from the lender is expected to arrive in Sri Lanka on June 20. The scarcity of food, fuel, electricity has brought hunger and desperation to many Sri Lankans. Here a mother and her young son wait on a bus that is stuck in a long queue outside a petrol station. Local foundation Voice for Voiceless gives free lunches for Sri Lankans who cannot afford to eat.
Actions like this are starting up around Sri Lanka as people struggle with its worst economic crisis in more than 70 years. Food inflation has hit nearly 60%, and many people are finding it difficult to cope.
Most of these community who are coming today or been coming are surviving with 2 meals. So we are giving them the responsibility of surviving for 1 meal, and we are saying, right, we will support you with 1 meal, but a good healthy meal.
Few now get to eat this well.
It's very difficult. We rarely get food like this. Only my husband is working, but what he earns for a day is not enough to feed the 3 of us now.
China is ready to lend 90% of school uniforms. The Ministry of Education has decided to obtain 90% of the school uniforms provided for next year under the Chinese loan scheme. China had earlier agreed to provide 50% of the school uniform requirements, Education Minister Susil Prema Jayantha said. However, in the face of the current economic crisis in the country, this agreement was reached in response to a request to increase it to 90%, the minister said. Accordingly, only 10% of school uniforms can be procured from local manufacturers due to the shortage of raw materials, Education Minister Susil Prema Jayantha said. Plan to import 50,000 metric tons of rice with Indian loan assistance. The government has decided to import 50,000 metric tons of rice under the Indian Loan Assistance Program to alleviate the rice shortage and control rice prices. It was decided at a discussion held at the Prime Minister's office today to allocate the necessary funds for this purpose to the State Commercial Multipurpose Corporation. A statement issued by the Prime Minister's media unit stated that this is expected to avert a possible rice shortage in the future and curb the abnormal increase in rice prices. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has said that the government is bankrupt today, but the opposition is not. He said that if such a bankruptcy had taken place, Samagi Janabalavagia would not have been able to implement the HUSMA program, the Sakwala program for future generations in this country, and the bus donation program for the country. The leader of the opposition said that the education system in this country should be completely transformed, especially the English language and the subjects of information, technology, science, mathematics, engineering, etc. should be formulated in an organized and systematic manner. The leader of the opposition said that he will gain the power of the country in a formal manner and that there was no habit in the Samagi Janabalavagia of following posts of Prime Minister or any other by betraying the people. The leader of the opposition said that the government does not need to state its shortcomings and inadequacies, and that the government should implement the rhetorics and promises that were made even before the government came into power. A mother of two have thrown her 5-year-old child into Kalani River, and she too has attempted to commit suicide by jumping into the river. She was caught by a group of passers-by and handed over to the police, who prevented her from jumping into the river and committing suicide. The child had drowned, and she had told the police that she had to make such a decision as she could not feed the child. Her husband has died some time ago, and her eldest child is living under the care of a relative, according to the Wattala police. She had thus thrown her child into Kalani River on the Kadirana Bridge. Maximum retail price for local raw rice. A special gazette notification has been issued raising the maximum retail price of a kilo of local white or red raw rice to 210 rupees. According to the Consumer Affairs Authority has issued a gazette notification directing that the supply of goods above the maximum retail price should not be offered for sale or displayed for sale. Colombo, June 16, 2022. The United States announced today that it will provide $6 million in emergency assistance to address the needs of marginalized and vulnerable communities impacted by Sri Lanka's economic crisis. This new funding will also provide a technical assistance to the government of Sri Lanka as it implements economic and financial reform measures to stabilize the economy in line with an anticipated International Monetary Fund package. The US is committed to supporting the Sri Lankan people as they face towards economic and political challenges, said Julie Chung, US Ambassador to Sri Lanka. As a long-standing development partner, we will continue to champion efforts that promote sustainable economic growth and good governance. Colombo, June 15, 2022. The United States continues to promote sustainable energy and economic growth in Sri Lanka. On June 15th, U.S. Ambassador for Sri Lanka, Julie Chung, attended a signing ceremony for an agreement that will provide technical assistance to Vega Innovations to help them further develop Sri Lanka's electric vehicle sector. The agreement, to be funded by the U.S. Agency for International Development USAID, will support Vega Innovations' efforts to promote the adoption of electrical vehicles, including electrical tuk-tuk. It will also help pilot a charging network for electric vehicles and support the manufacturing of locally designed batteries and inverters. USAID Sri Lanka's energy program was launched in 2021 to help the country's power sector become market-based, secure, reliable and sustainable. Crime reports on the rise in Gunatillake. The police headquarters urges the public to be more careful while navigating the goal-face protest areas, as many incidents of crime have been reported in the area. A case filed against Dhammika's MP post. A fundamental rights petition has been filed in the Supreme Court against the appointment of businessman Dhammika Pereira as a Member of Parliament. That is by the Centre for Policy Alternatives and its Executive Director, Dr. Pakyasoti Saravanamuthu. Businessman Dhammika Pereira has been appointed to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Sri Lanka Pudujana Peramuna MP Basil Rajapaksa. The petition seeks a ruling that the decision violates the Constitution. The petitioners point out that in the event of a vacancy in the national list, only a person whose names appear in the nomination submitted for the districts at the general elections or whose names appear on the national list will be able to fill the vacancy. That is the current Sri Lankan news. Hope it was useful for those viewers who are interested to keep up with the latest happenings in your mother country. Stay safe and goodbye for now.